Hello, all. Welcome to Brown and Browner. We're in the post, I believe, week 15 edition now after the whole holiday break and everything else that's happened in between. And, of course, the demise of our own Kansas City Chiefs at this point and half the NFL.
All I have to say to that is burr, 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 burr. And that's the end of the Chiefs season right there.
Between that and the 21-gun salute, it's pretty much over. We know that, and it sucks for us as Chiefs fans. But you know what? Maybe it was needed. I think we needed a refresh and a rebuild. So I'm not mad.
I agree with that. They've been barely holding on last year. They got lucky and won all of the close games. They were 12-0 in one-score games.
Yep.
And this year, just the opposite.
Yep.
And they were getting lucky. They got Mahomes, but there are too many holes in their team right now. And they were totally exposed. They were always chasing. It's sad to see them go, being a Chief fan. I know I got my Bears shirt on. I'm a Bears fan as well.
Hey, I'm rooting for them this year. I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, but, I mean, the thing, and we talked about it off camera, how are they going to approach this offseason can be key because they have enough of it, the right elements within the team, especially if Mahomes comes back healthy, to be able to make another run. They really could. So, but they need to figure out how they're going to rush the passer, how they're going to protect the passer, and who's going to be running around with the receivers that can actually do that.
It starts with the very first thing, and I'm going to say it up front, and I'll say it every game until next year. Get rid of Matt Nagy. We'll start there.
Hello. Can we start like some kind of petition or something where we just get enough signatures, send it to Andy Reid, and go, look, just get rid of Matt Nagy. That's going to improve your team like 25% right there.
In fact, you need to fire almost, I'd say, at least 8 to 10 coordinators that are in the league right now that are trying to do something they can't do, and they're all getting somehow credit for it or whatever it is. I don't know what the hell this whole magic act is in the media with offensive coordinators and them trying to show off and not use the actual tools they have on the field. Hey, we're talking you, Todd Monken with the Ravens. We're talking
about running the ball, the ball.
Yeah.
It is football, right? We're talking, a few yards in a cloud of dust is what football is about.
There is only one person that has come over from last year's offensive coordinator juggernaut and actually done well, and that is that young man named Ben Johnson over at the Chicago Bears. That man was built to coach, no question.
And just so you know, I only want to show the C. I have an Urlacher shirt on, but I'm sorry. When Urlacher got, retired, he started saying some really stupid things that I don't agree with. So I'm not an Urlacher fan for anybody who's watching and thinking, oh, he's backing Urlacher. No, I'm not.
I've got my own Urlacher stories that kind of paint him in a bad light, but you have to admit, on the field, the man was amazing.
On the field, totally agree. Totally agree.
A whole different story.
Speaking of a whole different story, let's talk about college football for a moment.
Yes, sir.
So we were both talking about this, and we found it fascinating. Remember how the College Bowl season would ramp up, and you're looking forward to seeing the Gator Bowl and the this bowl and that bowl, and it used to be the Cotton Bowl and these things, Sugar Bowl. Now they're all, labeled by some company.
Yep.
There were games that were played, and I just wonder, did anybody really notice?
90% of America, I don't think even watched, cared, or anything other than maybe the alumni bases of the actual school that may have played. And maybe some of those didn't even, because guess what? Half their players didn't show up because they all sat out or waiting for the draft or, hey, I got to transfer or whatever it is.
You know what?
Of college football is gone. I don't even care about the actual, like the 4 games this weekend that are leading into the 12-team playoff. Yeah, I might watch them on Saturday, but guess what? The NFL's still there. The NFL's still going to kick their ass on Saturday.
Because the Bears are playing the Packers on Saturday. So guess what I'm watching? I'm not watching any kind of, .com bowl or something.
You got the Bears-Packers, which is obviously the headliner on Saturday. You got the Eagles game with the Commanders also. I mean, I'm sorry, but you got 4 loyal fan bases that are not going to watch college football, I'm sorry to say, because guess what? Ain't nobody giving a shit about the 4 teams or the 8 teams that are playing in the 4 games that are going to feed into the next round of the college football playoff. Think about this. Somebody put up a nice stat. March Madness, obviously an institution in its own right for basketball.
And it's great.
It lasts, I believe, 28 or 29 days. I forget the whole thing. College football playoff now is longer than March Madness. Think about that for a second.
That's not even worth it.
No, absolutely not. We already have short attention spans as sports, junkies, right? We'll sit down, obviously, for a day's worth of games, no problem. Red zone is the greatest thing on earth. We know that.
Yeah, totally agree.
But when it comes to college football, and you wanting me to pay attention for almost 30 days plus for people that don't even show up, are not loyal to their team, have no allegiance, coaching or player-wise, to anything that happens on the field, and all it is a money-making scheme, I'm sorry, you've lost interest in half America.
Well, and I think college football has been finally exposed. We've had all of these loyal supporters of the NCAA and what they've been doing. But quite frankly, does anybody really like this? And don't get me wrong, I like NIL. I like that. I think coaches should have their right to try to go. I think the way it's set up is screwy, because how do you make a coach leave a team before the highlight of their year, which is to play in a bowl game, a significant game, and the coach is gone because they have to leave before a certain time so that they can recruit for the next college they're going to, not do anything for the one that they've worked with. And who's left holding the bag? All of the kids who put their heart and soul, who signed up to a college specifically because of a coach who came to their house and wooed them. And now the coach is just like, I don't know you. I don't have any allegiance to you. And they get to skip. Sorry, college football, but you're doing a poor job. I'm glad it's being exposed, because maybe now they'll get away from this idea that 10 people in a conference room, or however many people are in there, who are all heads of their conferences, are deciding who actually plays in the most important games, as opposed to the play on the field dictating that.
I'll put it in a very simplistic way. I think growing up, and even to this day, one of the greatest football movies ever is Rudy, right? Underdog story. You've always appreciated. Guy that had nothing turned into something, played for a top-ranked team, everything else, right? That will never exist again in modern era. You know why? A 3-star recruit is going to go get recruited by a coach at any given school in the country. He's going to get allured to play with this coach. He's going to be loyal to that coach. He's going to bust his butt to try to play on a top-ranked team. All right, fine. That coach says, okay, I'm going to go over to so-and-so other school here next year. That guy is only going to get the money to take the top guys from his previous team, steal them, go to which is exactly what's going to happen. That 3-star recruit gets screwed. What was the purpose of NIL? NIL was to make sure that the people that played in college got paid to play in college.
Right.
And more importantly, got what they deserved for the talent they had off the field. Because there is no such thing as academics. Believe me, there's no thing. The word student athlete, if it's ever uttered again, I will say you are a blasphemous liar in anything. It does not exist. These kids don't go there
as an athlete. They're not there.
These kids are there set foot in a lecture hall.
I mean,
you guys will never the NCAA clearinghouse because it doesn't matter.
Well, and again, I'm all for the students being able to market their brand and make money off of themselves, instead of the colleges making the billions and trillions of dollars that they do, and the students get a scholarship, which let's just be real, more than half of those college players are these young kids from the urban areas where they already have a subpar education due to being where they are, because they're impoverished and such, and they go to a major college. They are having people do their homework. They are having people take their tests. They aren't there to get the student experience and learn and be able to use that degree to further their life once college is over. They're there to try to be the 1% that makes the NFL. That's all they're there for. And that's the only reason they were recruited.
Yep.
So let's keep it real, guys. You need to pay them, and that's why I'm for the NIL. But what also needs to happen is there needs to be some guardrails. We no longer have the rivalries because we've broken up college football to put these teams on the West Coast into an East Coast conference because what? So you can get more money.
Yep. We
don't have any real loyalty anymore from coaches and from students anymore, because as soon as I get a call from University of Las Vegas that says I'll pay you $200,000 this year if you come to our school, guess what? I'm coming to your school. So what's college football now?
I want to pose a financial challenge to every single NCAA team that's out there, or NCAA organization, or even conference for that matter. Show me on paper where you have made more money now. Take the media out of it. Show me where you have actually made more money now than when you had rivalries in college in the 90s and 2000s. People showed up for Florida State. Nobody gives a damn nowadays.
Yeah.
People showed up for Illinois Northwestern. Nobody gives a damn nowadays. It's ridiculous to think that you can't have geographic rivalries and everything else that came with rivalries back in the day and make more money than what you can with me wanting to watch UCLA versus Rutgers on a Saturday, where if you watched any bit of UCLA football this year, it was putridly atrocious to the point where 10 people showed up. 10 people literally showed up to pay $2 for a ticket, maybe.
Well, and aren't they in the Big Ten?
They're in the Big Ten and they're a legacy program, supposedly.
That just
if you're
doesn't
telling me you ruined football. You ruined college football to the point where it is nothing more than a stepping stone for the 0.1% that are going to make it to the NFL. That's it.
And I just hate that they're doing this to the kids.
Yeah.
Because the kids are the one that lose out. And quite frankly, I think the NCAA, they need to put guardrails. Here's the thing that I would suggest that could help.
Yep.
A couple of guardrails. First one, every college should have a cap to the money that they could offer students to move through portals.
Yep.
That would be the first thing. It's so this way you equal the playing field, because the huge universities have all the money. So I can always take somebody from a lower, a team that doesn't have the same kind of coffers that I have to offer the money.
Tell me in what day and age in the 90s and 2000s, BYU could afford the best basketball player and pay him $10 million a year to show up on their campus.
That's great. That's BYU. That's BYU.
BYU has AJ DeBonsa getting paid $10 million a year, all because of booster money, religious money, and all this other stuff that feeds the school. And okay, all that does is create a world where you get the rich getting richer. So yeah, Ohio State's always going to be the best. Georgia's always going to be the best in football. In basketball, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, always going to be the best, because guess what? Their coffers are deeper and more powerful than the rest of the world. Even with conference revenue sharing and all the other bullshit, it's fake. It's still not going to work. It's not going to level the playing field. All it's going to do is turn into Major League Baseball, because that's all you have right now is the Dodgers and everything else. And
yeah, all of these kids, it's like going to a very nice posh restaurant. All of these star recruits are eating at this restaurant, but the poor colleges can't afford to go to that restaurant to even think about getting these recruits, while the Alabamas and the Georgias and all of the Ohio States are all sitting there having their meals because they have all the money and they can afford to be in that situation.
Exactly.
It's just wrong. It's not that it's wrong. It doesn't promote competition, in my opinion.
NIL was so that every player at any opportunity, as long as they were good enough, could have the opportunity to make money off of their talent, right? And then the job was to level that playing field so that even a 3-star recruit could make money to whatever degree. As much as even a 5-star recruit's obviously going to get paid more, but he makes his money. Right. Now, unless you are that 5-star recruit at that premier program, which is the 1%, those are the only guys making money.
I was going to say, you're not going to really make any money.
Joe, the 3-star lineman who's playing for, Kennesaw State, isn't going to get paid at all.
He won't.
Yeah.
They'll give him that scholarship and be like, just be happy that you're getting this.
Yeah. He'll be lucky to get the commercial for the used car guy down the road at the campus,
Well, and it's just sad. I mean, the way college football, why do you think they're so rich? Is because they basically use these student athletes to promote trillions of dollars for their colleges, because they use their likeness, they use their everything that they have as far as their actual label or image or whatever. And these kids made $0 for hundreds of years.
I'm gonna say it now, and I think I've said this before. Track over the next 10 years between now and then, how many of these people that are making it into the pros out of college, whether it's football or basketball, actually turn into anything at the pro level, because I think the talent is what's also getting deteriorated because of NIL. It's all money and not actual product on the field at the end of the day.
I agree with that. I think that we're seeing a watered down product. I think one of the keys of being a good player in any university is having continuity and consistency. You don't have any of that anymore.
There's no dedication. I mean, these kids are too busy making ads off the court or off the field than actually spending time on the field or on the court, training and becoming the best version of, say, Kobe that they can be, because they're not. Yeah.
What have we talked about in the past? The reason we play the game is because we love the game. The money is great to have,
Yep.
but it's about loving the game. There's no love, and we're promoting less love. And it's witnessed by these kids who are supposed to be playing a pro bowl game. How many are actually injured and how many are not playing because they want to protect their stock or they want to do this or whatever, preparing to move to another team, and they're being told don't play that game because you could get injured and then we won't pay you the money for you to go through the portal. That is not what the game is about. We played this game our whole lives because we love it. We got outside on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, played the game. We sat after practice and practiced more because we loved the game and we wanted to be the best at what we were doing. Who's promoting that now? How is any of this promoting that?
Nope. And I want to end our college discussion on that note because we've hammered this point home. Yep.
Okay, one more. The other point that I wanted to make that I think they have to instill, besides what I was saying about the first point about the money and the kids, is coaches, if they sign a contract, there should be a minimum of 3 to 5 years. So they can't do this jumping from, Alabama's job opened up. Oh, I don't care if I'm at Ohio State, Alabama's job is more prestigious, therefore I'm going to leave. Do that. You put those two things in place, it's going to help stop all of this movement and stop the madness that college football has become, trying to emulate college basketball and March Madness.
Yeah, no, there's two simple fixes. I think you hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. Now, on that note of loyalty, we'll transition over to something that happened this week in the world of NBA. NBA had its NBA Cup basketball. I was glad to see the Knicks win and kind of bring back some of that swagger to that city of basketball. We'll see if the loyalty still pays off, but I do love the set of players they have there. They're hungry, gritty guys. Brunson, Hart. He brought over that Villanova squad. I mean, I love it. I love the culture with the New York Knicks. I hope they do well. But they got to go through that buzzsaw called San Antonio, the Thunder. Everything in the West is just crazy, obviously.
Curry. Well, it's been that way. Even when LeBron was playing, the West was always the dominant conference, not the East. If you had one or two good teams in the East, usually Boston and one other, I think it was Philly for a while. It was Miami when LeBron was there. But you didn't have the depth that you would have. But here's a question I have for it. So New York won this NBA Cup. Yay. Yeah. We could talk about the importance of that. Remember, who were the two teams that were in the finals last year in the NBA Cup got bounced in the first round of the playoffs last year.
That's right.
That shows you what the NBA Cup is. But the Knicks were in the conference finals for the first time since I don't know when. What, Patrick Ewing?
Yeah. 9.
And they fired their coach.
Yep.
Fired their coach.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Well,
and I get the reason why. The Bulls let Thibodeau go because Thibodeau plays a limited roster. He wears guys out. He's not ready for the playoffs.
Will wear out a team. Yeah, the way that he runs his teams, he will wear out a team, and that isn't going to help the Knicks get over that next hurdle. I think he peaked in terms of the Knicks' performance, the way he coaches. And that's why they had to fire him, because they needed something to take it over the next hurdle when it came to the New York Knicks. Have they added the right pieces? Yes, let's see. With Cat and everything else, I think they've got the makings of a good squad and a team, because this is a team sport again. So the New York Knicks are a good team. There is no question. Do they have that alpha dog that can put them over the top? I don't think so, because the other teams have that.
Brunson,
yeah. Brunson's good. Brunson's awesome. I think I love him as a dog. I think that guy's fearless. I love his way he plays, everything. But he's not SGA. He's not Steph Curry. And he's not Nikola Jokic. Or Wemby. So those four guys coming out of the West and leading their respective teams, honestly, I as far as the grit, I think Brunson's got more grit than them.
Yeah,
physically, those guys are gonna take over a game at their positions. There's no question, especially Jokic. He'll play all 5 positions. He'll take over. It doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever,
Well, that sounds like a Dave Chappelle. I plead the fifth. I would have to say that I would disagree with you. I think Brunson has the ability to carry New York over the top. I think what hurts New York is being in New York.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think that
pressure.
There's a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Being in New York, and God forbid you lose a game in the playoffs, the sky is falling, and all of this stuff. I think they're there greatest enemy, just like Philly was until they won a Super Bowl. They were their greatest enemy. The fans and the town were asking so much of the team. I think Brunson has the ability. They've got some really nice pieces in place. They got a guy like Josh Hart, who plays hard-nosed basketball, give you double-digit scoring. And
he's John Starks. He's John Starks. This is a remake of the 1919 for me. Everybody's got their different roles, right, on that team, which is kind of cool. You got Allen Houston, a.k.a. Jalen Brunson. You got John Starks, the hard-nosed guy. Yeah, you got Josh Hart. You know, you got Big Cat in the middle, Patrick Ewing. You know, everybody's got like little roles here.
Who's the big guy? I had his name. The big guy who was the one who threw the turnover that made them lose the one game against the Lake.
I know what you're talking about.
Anthony Mason. Who's Anthony Mason? Who's Charles Barkley?
Yeah. No, I
think if they had some of those hard-nosed players, they probably would win. So,
I agree.
But we were talking about something. So we talked about this NBA Cup. The importance of it to me is lost. I know what the NBA is trying to do, and we talked about ways that they could potentially do it. I'd rather see all of the European players or non-American players play the world team against the U.S. team. I would love to see that. We would probably lose, we being U.S., because the best players in the league are all the ones you named, and none of those are, and Doncic, all of those players are not from America, and they're the best players in the league. But I think that would actually mean more to me than them picking some random games out, having them play an NBA Cup. Okay, the Knicks beat the Spurs. Yay. Was there any fanfare over that? Did anybody really care?
No.
You look at banners for that?
Yeah. At the end of the day, it didn't matter. It's nice to have the little in-season competition. I get all of it, and everything else. Let's get to April. That's all that matters. In the NBA, that's all that matters. Even the All-Star game has turned into a farce. This year, they're going to try to hopefully resurrect it to where it's World versus USA, and I think there's going to be some allure because I think the world's going to kick their ass. I'm going to say it right here. Yeah. And I think they need to do that kind of promotion. Just like in hockey, they did, World versus, whatever, I think North America or something like that. Creating a rivalry is what brings people together in sport, just like we said about college football and college basketball. Rivalry is what creates sports. It doesn't matter the pro level, college level, the elementary level. Hell, I love my elementary school versus any other elementary school. I'll take it, I'll stand up. What I'm saying is that's what brings sports together. So until you create that environment, either in an all-star setting, a final setting, and everything else, you lose your fan base. It's as simple as that.
I do think it generates the interest. I think people want to like and hate things.
Yes.
And when you have that, you stir up the interest. We love
that guy, good guy concept here, right? That's just how it's always been. I
think that would work.
I mean, that's how we grew up even in cartoons. You had a bad guy and a good guy. You had Elmer Fudd. You had Bugs Bunny. You had, Boris and Natasha. You had Rocky and Bullwinkle. I mean, take your pick.
But that's exactly right. And that we've talked about it in college football. There are no longer rivalries there. You don't have that. I think basketball needs something. I mean, I think they've done a good job of growing the product overseas. I think that there's more interest in basketball than ever has been, especially when, I was growing up in the 70s and 80s. But they need to do something a little different. They need to figure that part out. They need to stop these ridiculous all-star games with they play pickup games and LeBron being the coach. Forget that.
You know what? That's the other thing that pissed me off. Okay, two things I used to love as a kid. The three-point contest and the dunk contest, only because the best players competed, generally speaking.
That used to be in those, yes.
Now all the best guys are scared shitless because they're losing their rep.
Well, but again, the love of the game, the Vince Carters, the Michael Jordans, the Dominique Wilkins, these guys could have easily said no to the dunk contest, but they didn't because they love the game. And what was one of the most spectacular highlights of watching a game? When you were sitting in the park down the street, if a guy came down and crushed one over somebody, the whole park would light up and everybody would go, ooh. If you were sitting in the trees at the Rucker and you were watching old Dr. J and all these old stars play, that was the part that you want. We're not getting that anymore because the best players I'm getting millions of dollars. I'm not going to waste my time going to that. I don't care about the three-point contest. I don't care about the dunk contest. And you're right. Those used to be the lead-in highlights to then watch the East versus the West.
There's all-star status, and then there's one more elite level in my book, and that's called legend status. Legend status is the hardest thing in the world to achieve. You're going to be remembered for generations upon generations. How many players can we say in this day and age are going to be actually legends at the college level, legends at the pro level, whatever it is, 30 years, 40 years down the road? There's not many. A good story I remember growing up as a kid, and I remember going to Record Park as a kid, and even multiple times since then. There was a guy, and I think you can Wikipedia this. It's called Earl the Goat Manigault was his name. They're nicknamed the Goat. He was supposedly one of the best street ballers, supposedly one of the best street ballers on the planet in the 80s and 90s, and even beat pros, like actually legitimately beat pros at the Rucker. His legendary status was earned when he grabbed a $20 bill off the top of the backboard.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
The top of the backboard.
Top of the backboard. And I don't think this is some myth or some
dude was like 5'8", 5'9". He was not some giant.
Good way of getting up there grabbing money.
So no,
that's the thing we miss now. And again,
yes,
the whole thing about sports, even as being a fan, is that one, you've either played it or you just loved it growing up. And two, you're watching somebody do that particular thing at the highest ability.
Yep.
That's the whole point of watching these things. I want to see those players. I don't want to see some no-name guy on some crappy team shooting 3-pointers. I don't care.
I tell you what I've gotten more joy out of watching than the NBA this year, basketball-wise. You ever watch something called Dunk Man that's showing up on TNT? So Shaq started a dunk contest. Amateurs, mostly amateurs that are on this thing, including YouTube guys and all that. The winner gets to participate in the NBA All-Star Game Slam Dunk Contest. The dunks these people are doing can never be done by folks in the NBA, in my opinion. Take a look at the highlights when you guys get a chance. I've only caught up on 2 episodes of Dunk Man. It's literally called Dunk Man. It's on TNT.
All right. I'll take a look at that.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Last week they had some dude literally was 5'4". He jumped over a dude that was 7 feet and dunked.
Yeah, and I love that. And I watched some of the high school dunking contests. My brother contest when he was in high school. Those are so good to watch because they're free flowing. And again, these guys want to show off because they love the game and they know their talent.
Yep.
We don't have that anymore at the elite levels because nobody cares anymore. Not enough to actually be out there and, highlight themselves. They only want to make the money. They don't want to be on the court. And I get it. There's some idea of protection, like, hey, why are you in this position? Because you could get hurt. So therefore, don't do it. But if we all operated on that kind of fear, then no one would be great. We would never see anything great.
So perfect transition there. So we have seen, unfortunately, this past weekend in the NFL was arguably one of the worst in terms of injuries across the board. ACL season, unreal.
Everybody was getting hurt.
Call growing up, 80s, 90s, 70s. I mean, look at football, look at basketball. When have you seen such increase in injuries and these types of injuries more particularly than ever before, than now? And does a lot of that have to do with fitness conditioning and everything else, you think, from what was then to what is now? Do you think people were tougher then than they were now? Or has the game technology changed?
Maybe they did the right kind of conditioning. And I think there's a thing that we have to put as an asterisk there. Players today, you hear about these injuries. You know what? Give me 1 sec.
Yep.
You hear about these injuries. You see players going down.
Yep.
Back in the day, where we were talking about it yesterday, I was talking to a guy. Turf toe.
Yeah. That was you still played
back in the day, or did players play through that?
Yeah, I agree.
Some ACLs. When I tore my ACL playing in this league, playing basketball, I was also playing semi-pro football at that time.
Yeah.
I wanted to still play. They told me no, but I still wanted to play. I still felt like, even though I'm limping and gimping, I still wanted to play. Players back then played through all sorts of injuries. Nowadays, do they play through any injuries?
No. I think people are looking too much into, I don't want to say money's driving a lot of it, because I get it. You have a limited time frame in terms of you can expose your talent at the pro level and make money for yourself, your family, and everything else you got burdens for.
Sure.
And you're looking out for your better interest. I get all of that. But if you also think about it medically speaking, the healing time and the technology that's there to heal people has never been better than ever before, right? So at the same time, I feel like there's ways you can get back into your sport and still thrive. And we've seen it, firsthand.
Metabolic chamber. like the hockey players do. Send in one of those
Right.
for like 3 days straight.
Exactly. And people have done that to heal themselves. It makes sense. So to that point, I get it. And I get the mindset of people wanting to not risk everything at whatever level they're at. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to the love of the game, in my opinion. And that should trump any other reason why you wouldn't be on the field or wouldn't be anything like that. And I think that's what honestly helped 70s, 80s, and 90s players, because they too had a financial burden on them, even more so than I think now, because now you're paid exuberant dollars, obviously.
Well, they weren't getting paid anything. And the other thing was, God forbid that you're not on the field because somebody will take your spot. And then
There was a fear of that. Now it's like, oh, well, you're going to take my spot. I'm going to go to another school and play or whatever it is, or another place. Take away, like I said, we can play with the guardrails, like you said earlier, on in sports and all that. But at the end of the day, I feel like the mentality was more about the purity of the game before than it is now. It's in simple terms.
It was way more physical before than it is now. Granted, the equipment sort of does lend to more physicality that you're seeing today. But these guys will rip your head off, and they would get right back up and do it again. Had fingers that pointed in 3 different directions. You can see some of my fingers. My wife and my kids make fun of them. But you did because you love the game so much. And you stuck 2 fingers together. You did this, you did that. There was no sitting on the bench. And you had players playing both positions. I played on both sides of the ball. It's just a different culture now. And I just think that, that's part of the reason why we see what we see from an injury standpoint, because people are looking at injuries like, oh my God, I got a paper cut, out for a week, out for a week.
When I hate to say it, we kind of saw it coming, at least with the Chiefs, and this is where I'll lead into kind of our football discussion here. People walked into the game with the Chiefs game on Sunday and said, yeah, Patrick's been playing injured with his knee and stuff like that. Well, sure enough, guess what happens? Dude gets tackled on his knee, gets buckled, and it's going to tear. But he gritted it out because he knew that this was important to the team to win and potentially stay in the playoffs. Again, that's why I admire Patrick Mahomes. I don't think he gets enough credit for the fact that he toughs it out. He takes hits. He takes hits, man.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I'll give credit to, Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Joe Burrow's been getting flack for some of the things that he said, but quite frankly, this guy had turf toe. He came back even when the team was pretty much on the brink of not making the playoffs, because he wanted to play and he wanted to give his team a chance to win. I credit him for that. Now, all the other stuff, I sort of agree with him too. If you're playing a sport and you're not having fun playing it, let people know, hey, organization, you're not doing enough. Now, granted, I'm not sure what he said when they were signing these contracts to Higgins and to Chase. Yeah. Because that ate up all of your money. So you might have the 2 best receivers in the league, but guess what? You're going to get Joe Blow playing tackle. You're going to get Joe Blow playing guard. You're going to get Joe Blow playing defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, at first, there's a lot of people giving Joe Burrow flack, like, oh, he can't play through turf toe. Dude, the man's been sacked how many times?
Another one is getting killed, and that's why he's mad, because he can't play the way he wants to play because he's always running for his life.
Exactly. And to your point, he's not having fun out there. So what's the point? I totally agree.
But I'm going to come back and play because I love the game that much. Yeah. Show me some love by actually putting people around me that can help me stay upright long enough to be effective.
No, Joe earned some credit in my book this year. I mean, even with regardless of the situation with the turf toe and all that, honestly, at this point, I kind of hope he gets out of Cincinnati, or Cincinnati needs to blow up the organization, one or the other. Like, it has to happen this year, one or the other.
There are 3 or 4 organizations in the league that I feel like, I don't know if it's change of ownership or whatever, but they need to be blown up. Cincinnati being one of them. How bad? Remember Carson Palmer? How many people have wanted out of Cincinnati?
Everybody. Look at the entire. I mean, look, since Boomer Esiason, shit.
So that's telling you something about the organization. Yeah. Cleveland Browns. I love the Cleveland Brown fans. They deserve way more than what Cleveland has been giving them. Way more than that. And they've been doing it for decades, since the fumble. Since who was that? Biner. Since Biner's fumble. You've seen nothing out of Cleveland.
Joe had a chance to win with Bernie Kosar, man. Come on.
Love that name, Bernie. You played at the U, baby.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But I think, again, just looking at all of these franchises that have just historically sucked and don't seem to go anywhere. The Cardinals. How are you doing? You guys were in the Super Bowl at one point, and then you just fell. You had Larry Fitzgerald and couldn't figure out how to win.
You could have got Kurt Warner title too.
You know, do something about it. The Titans.
Yeah.
The Titans were good. They got
They were
rid
on
of
the verge. They were on the verge of becoming that next team.
yeah, and now look at them.
Yep.
You know, you
No,
got your rookie coming in basically saying this is bullshit.
yeah, and you know what? Another guy that honestly, if we allowed the same rules in pros that we allowed in college, this dude would leave.
Right. And the last one, and this is the worst one.
Yep.
The fans of New York deserve way, way, way more.
And we're talking both teams. We're talking both teams. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Giants,
more the Jets, but
yeah, but the Giants have won some Super Bowls. They had Eli Manning. They were competitive. What have the Jets done since the early 70s, since Joe Namath went and put the finger up and said, we're going to beat this team?
It took a hero. It took a hero to win in New York. Think about that for a second.
And they had the sack exchange. They had teams that could have won.
Yep.
And then they had the booty fumble.
Yep.
Mark Sanchez booty fumble. Oh, where's Mark Sanchez?
Mark Dirty Sanchez butt fumble. Yeah.
So I mean, they need a change there. The fans are so loyal, and the teams have been so bad.
Yep.
Not just bad, so bad, consistently bad.
Well, it's not even just bad, it's embarrassingly bad. Think about what kind of resources you got and everything else with the New York Jets. At the end of the day, if you sucked for as long as you did, and yeah, I'm talking to all the franchises you just mentioned, all have collected draft picks and failed. Think about how bad that is. You've had 10 years worth of number one picks, basically, right?
And you suck. And those number one picks went to other teams and actually did way better.
Think about this. You've had all these organizations in football that we just mentioned. In basketball, it's been the same way too, with like the Kings and all the other things you could think of. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the only team out of all these sports that have done it right, where they collected draft picks for 10 years, and now you've got a dynasty built for basketball for the next 10 years, all because of you made the right decision as a bad losing organization. All these other ones epically failed at it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And Oklahoma City is going to be good for a long time if they can keep their core together. Probably won't be able to do that because you can't pay everybody, but they have a young core that's winning.
I like the humbleness on the team, but we'll see what that happens. But on football, think about how many number one draft picks the Jets have had and failed. Think about it for a second.
Made the wrong decisions. I mean, to the credit of these bad teams, you're bad for a reason. Getting a number one draft pick isn't going to change your fortune overnight. But you should be stockpiling these and having
every year you're building one.
3 years down the road, but 3 years down the road after having all of these draft picks, you should be better, and you should be saving money because obviously you're not getting veterans who are asking for a lot of money because you suck, so nobody wants to go to you, and you're on the first 3 or 4 years of their rookie contract, so you're paying the least amount of money for all of these draft picks that you require.
You know what they need to hire? They need to hire somebody that's an actuary and insurance company. Like seriously, that's how bad financially they are right now. They can't figure out how to do the Geico discount or anything, or the discount double check, nothing.
Hey, I have to say one thing. I named those franchises. I felt like the Bears were on the cusp of that too. Because
they've come around. But think about it, it took a revamp of the organization. So you brought in the Poles, you brought in the Johnsons, you finally got the right draft picks and the right mix of players in the city. You still need to work on your infrastructure, obviously, because we don't even know if we're staying at Soldier. But you have the makings of getting over that hurdle finally in Chicago.
But you said it. I don't know if it was the general manager pace. We've had some horrible.
Hey, sorry,
But they opened up their wallets and they didn't go and search for Joe Peabody, who's the offensive defensive coordinator for some team like Matt Eberflus. You hear me? And hire them because you can get them on the cheap and hope that they're going to be good. Ben Johnson was an established product that everybody wanted, and the Bears actually paid him and got him. And look at how much of a difference he's made in less than 1 year.
Yep. And I mean, I'm still haven't bought in fully to the Caleb Williams experiment. I don't think I ever will. I think he's still a tier down from where you could be as terms of a quarterback anywhere. But, we'll let time tell and prove me wrong. But at the end of the day, now you've got the foundation organizationally to build upon this. Let's say the kid turns into a bust in 2 years. You still have every other piece around you, including a defense that's coming up and everything else, to now be that ascending team year after year after year, as opposed to always having to cripple down all the way to the bottom. Is what
And that's how you build a team. You have to establish a foundation to build upon. You can't expect all of these things to happen to you know, like the Jets. It's like they go all in, like for instance, Aaron Rodgers, and having Aaron Rodgers dictate how your team was going to look by hiring, you know, getting all of these players that Aaron wanted, and then he didn't play, and then you found out these players all sucked, the Cobbs and the Lazarus, whatever, they all suck. And now you put all your monies and eggs in that basket, and it's going to hurt you for years.
Well, let's go with that. Let's recap last week real quick and feed into this week on that note, because Mr. Discount Double Check did get the W this week, obviously.
Credit for that.
Yeah. So kicking off the week last week, which I thought was a stunner because I think we both picked the Bucks. Falcons all of a sudden show up, and Kyle Pitts becomes all of a sudden Kyle Pitts that we thought was supposed to happen 3 years ago.
How did that happen? Kyle Pitts has been absent. LOA or
LOA.
LOA or AWOL, whichever one you want. All of a sudden, he becomes the guy that everybody said he was supposed to be when he was drafted. And I'm sorry, the Buccaneers, I'm hoping they lose now. Everybody was so sure, including ourselves, that the Buccaneers would win their division, and they started off hot as heck, and they've fallen so far that the Panthers, I want them to win, and I want them to win the division.
I was glad to see Mike Evans back. I think they can still make the playoffs. They got to sweep out, obviously, Carolina, which is going to be interesting to see over the next 3 weeks, right?
This week, so
that's thing. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm hoping the Buccaneers can right the ship. I mean, obviously, injuries have killed their season. There's no question for the Buccaneers. To see it go down in this light at home against Atlanta, that was tough to watch, honestly.
And they tried, boy, they could not pull that out.
And you saw it in the locker room. I think they showed the video highlight of Mike Evans walking out back in the locker, or back into the hallway to the locker room. He was like, "It was 3rd and 28, 3rd and 28."
And this is where it's hard as a competitor and an athlete. When you're doing everything you can to win a game, and you're watching your defense, like the Bengals have been doing, you know, like you watch your defense suck so bad. 3rd and 28.
Mm-hmm.
No one's supposed to be able to do that. You're never supposed to give that up. I don't care if you have to line all 11 guys at the 25.
At the goal, to block them,
And you just place, you know, what we used to call Johnny Tackle.
Yep.
Yeah, you just make sure that they don't get to the 28. But they couldn't even do that. Sad.
Very sad. So, no, it was a bad way to start a Thursday in that sense. I think we both lost that one, so that kind of sucked.
Yeah, we did.
I think I sucked even worse this week, which is even bad. So,
of course, 8-8 this week. I was 11-5. I am now 3 games up on you.
There you go. I figured. Like I said, it was an ugly week. Chiefs, Chargers. I mean, you know what? Walking into that game, I think you picked the Chargers, didn't you?
I did pick the Chargers.
You picked the Chargers. I had hope for the Chiefs, so that was my one up there. But you know what? I'm glad that it happened. We finally can put the season to rest, start over, rebuild, like we said earlier, go from there. It'll be simple as that. At this point, we need to flush the O-line, flush the defensive line, get new fronts. Chris Jones, see you later. I think you're done.
Goodbye, Chris. You're way too much money and too little effort. Yeah. Honestly, Kelsey, I think his contract is up.
Kelsey's contract's up. I think it needs to go off their books, or I'll give you the alternative. Let him do his swan song at the league minimum. Let him play backup. We hone another tight end. Call it a day. Simple enough.
I don't disagree with that, but I can't see Kelsey settling for that. I think Kelsey should just ride on to the sunset. Do you really need to have your farewell song? You got Taylor Swift waiting for you to bury you. Go do your thing. Go do. Now you can become an actor and hang out.
And that's fair. I mean, the sad part is we've had now 2 or 3 great tight ends with the Kansas City Chiefs over the last 20, 25 years, and none of them have gotten to say a proper goodbye. Tony Gonzalez didn't get a proper goodbye, you know?
I feel bad for Tony Gonzalez. You see him on those Thursday night shows?
Oh, I know.
It's so sad because I was a real big Tony Gonzalez fan, and he does not look good.
No, he doesn't. And that's what I mean, like I said, and a lot of these guys across all sports haven't gotten the proper goodbye in recent memory. I mean, even football, Megatron never got a proper goodbye. Larry Fitzgerald never got a proper goodbye. I mean, I can go down the list. There's so many good players that have gone through football in recent memory that haven't gotten a last minute, farewell tour, essentially. Aaron Donald was probably the last one, and even he's thinking about coming back. So who knows?
I don't know. Is it that important to have your farewell? I mean, think about it. If you play a season,
you remember the legend for it. That's the thing.
But wait, when you play a season, unless you are very, very sure at the beginning of the season that is your last year, Most guys don't make that decision until after
True.
they the year and they go, do I really want to do this again? So I don't know if a swan song is necessary at that point because, again, you've decided that you didn't want to play anymore.
I mean, we did see that out of Brady. We saw it out of Roethlisberger. Good point. You know,
Yeah.
they kind of walked.
You know, you just sort of play. It'd be nice. You know, Kelsey did a great job for Kansas City, and maybe they can honor him in a certain way. But I don't know if you need to go around and have another 17 weeks where every week you're going, this is Kelsey's last week. This is Kelsey's last week. What do you really get out of that? It's not like, but they're not driving a motorcycle out for you when you go to Cleveland or if you go to, you know, Denver. So what's the point of the swan song?
Yeah, no, good point. Good point. But no, like I said, the Chiefs need to do a revamp. I'm glad it's finally going to take place. Unfortunate for Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately for the ACL injury, everything else. But you know what? Yeah, we needed a reboot. So this is fine. This is fine.
That too.
Bills Pats. Great comeback by Josh Allen.
I was watching the score. They were down 21-0. I was like, ooh, the Pats are for real.
Everybody, Dave Portnoy came on. Is like, we're taking it to him. We're taking it to him. I'm a big Pats fan. You ate crow, my friend.
Well, I used to tell my son this because he'd always be talking smack while he's winning.
Midway, yeah.
Winning is not won. Yeah. So you can talk all the smack, you know, you would play basketball out in the park and the guys, yeah, I'm burning. It's like, and then when we beat them, it was like, yeah, you talked all that smack, but guess who's sitting on the sidelines watching me play the next game?
Yeah, I've taught my son that through fantasy football.
Talk smack after the game's over. Don't get me wrong, I'm being a hypocrite. I used to talk smack during the game all day.
Sure, absolutely. But no, like I said, Josh Allen and the Bills are back. Honestly, I'm going to call it right now. I think they win the AFC. I don't like their defense. I don't like any bit of their team, honestly, other than Josh Allen, and James Cook. But I think this is a team of destiny at this point. The dude does not have to play Joe Burrow. He does not have to play Patrick Mahomes. He does not have to play Lamar Jackson. Does not have to.
Well, he may have to play Lamar Jackson. So the Ravens and they're playing the Steelers heads up.
They're looking pretty pitiful right now, too. So it's going to be him or Aaron. I'm going to still put my money on the Ravens somehow coming back, but the team culture here is bad. I'll tell you what right now. It's in a bad way.
I agree with that. I think they still have the talent, but their culture, I don't know what happened. But it's funny how losing changes the culture real quick.
It does. It does. The swagger ain't here right now. So we'll see how that one fares. Because, again, you got the Steelers coming in town and all that stuff, and it's going to get interesting. Let's see the other one. So, I mean, Ravens did put up a shutout like they were supposed to against the Bengals. Fine. But like we saw, Joe Burrow getting hit too much. We can't do anything about that anymore. It is what it is. So they need to reset.
Giants, I was surprised that the Commanders played well. But, again, those are two terrible teams we don't really care about.
Yep.
Panthers. The Panthers saw the Buccaneers lose on Thursday.
Yep.
They play on Sunday against the worst team in the league or one of the worst teams in the league, and they lose.
Yeah, they got Tyler shucked.
I mean, you got to take advantage of your opportunities. That was a golden opportunity for them to separate themselves and create that space that they'll need because they got to play Tampa Bay twice, right?
The NFC South is going to be dirty. It's going to be who doesn't want to lose, basically. Yeah, it's kind of what's going to come down to. And then, of course, the winner of that division gets to host a game.
We got to talk. At some point, we're going to talk about that because they're going to have the worst record, and they may be at 500 or less than 500. You can't be 500 anymore.
500.
But imagine that, you know, like it was when the NFC West had one of those teams that was like 8-8, and they're hosting a game, and everybody was complaining.
Yep. So it is what it is. Eagles took care of business. Seahawks 6 field goals. Nothing out of Sam Darnold, but 6 field goals. And Jigba's still a beast. I get it. But old man Rivers almost put it together.
I'm sorry, but the Indianapolis Colts should have won that game. Yeah. I think there was some poor clock management when they were going down to take the lead, which left too much time on the clock. But again, where's your defense?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. And think about it. You knew walking in what the game plan was. The defense needed to hold its end of the bargain, and Phil Rivers put up his duty of putting up a football.
He did what he's supposed to do.
Exactly. Now, we'll get to this weekend, but that man's going to get killed this weekend against the 49ers. But we'll see what happens.
gonna be real old. They might have to put him in a rocking chair after these next.
I did know everything coming out about the fact that the guy's insurance was about to expire from the NFL, and all of a sudden it's renewed for 5 years now for him and his 12 kids. I thought that was awesome.
Well played, Phillip Rivers. But
Yes.
you know what also is happening because of him being reinstated? He was on the ballot for the Hall of Fame.
His Hall of Fame
So
status now gets finished.
yeah, it's going to get delayed for another 5 years. So,
Yeah.
but I think he'll still end up making it. He'll be one of the best losers besides
Yes.
Dan Marino.
Yeah, I was gonna say him and Dan Marino are very synonymous in that regard. 5,000 yard seasons, but just couldn't get done. So it is what it is.
How about the Rams? So here's a question I have. So we were saying that the Chiefs are out of the playoffs. The Lions are still mathematically in it, but are they still in it? That's a big disappointment.
Well, they're outside looking in, and right now it's a Packers-Bears race. If the Bears take care of business this weekend against Green Bay, I think the Lions are done. Lions are done, and the Packers are out. So honestly, you might get only one team out of the NFC North then, which is really crazy to think if you think about it.
That is crazy, considering that you might have 3 10-win teams and 2 of them won't make it.
Physically, the Packers are out of it. They've got too many injuries, and again, injuries. That was the theme of the weekend, and we saw that with the Packers. Every single position line got an injury on there. It was significant, obviously with Parsons too. But the Lions would have to win out and get help at this point to get in, which that's a scary prop in itself because you've got such a potent offense, and again, a defense that can't do anything against good teams. The Rams are looking like the Rams. I mean, it sucks what happened to Devontae. I hope it's just a temporary injury for him. But you got Puka and Stafford looking for a title right now, and they hungry, and I love it. And that defense is good.
Yeah, I hope they. You know what? I just found out something. I got something I need to do at 9:00.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just surprised the Lions are one of the teams picked to win the Super Bowl this year. So they've really fallen when you look at where they are today. And the funny thing is, I don't think people looked at the Rams the way they look at them today. They're probably the favorites to win the Super Bowl now.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Everything else was kind of in check. Broncos, Packers. I mean, that Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
That boy bad.
Boy bad. Is Bo Nix still around? Bo Nix, you could be making millions, as their lead player or lead marketer.
I tell you what, if this comes to fruition, whether they win a Super Bowl or not with this team, Sean Payton, hats off. You were coach of the year, in my opinion. He's up there.
I think Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel will win.
Ben Johnson or Vrabel are probably going to win it.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about the culture change that Sean Payton brought in after all of that stuff with the Broncos. He's flipped the switch in 2 years, if you think about it.
True. He flipped the Russell. That's all you need to do. If you get rid of Russell, your team gets better.
When you beat cancer,
that's
shit happens.
Most of the other games were what they were. The Vikings beating the Cowboys, but again, neither one of those teams matter. Steelers beat the Dolphins, and I give them credit.
Yeah.
Actually, and you picked the Dolphins. But I give them credit, and they basically ended Tua's career in Miami because it sounds like they're going to bench him and he's coming back.
I think his career is done. If anything, he's a backup somewhere next year. He's not going to be making the money. He's done, basically, at this point.
So let's take a look at the slate this week.
Yes. Let's start. Well, great slate to start the first 2 days. Yeah.
I love it that it's Thursday. This time of year, it's always Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. We got a hell of a game tonight with the Seahawks at home against the Rams. This is probably going to decide who wins that division.
This is the marquee game. It's at the 12th man. I'm going Rams on the road because of how well they're playing right now, despite Devontae being injured and everything else. That team is just clicking. The defense is clicking. Seattle is struggling to put up TDs. That's their biggest problem. If they can score 6 instead of 3, then they could start winning a little bit more against the better teams. But in a game like this, if you're struggling to hit the end zone, you're not going to make it past the Rams. So I'm going Rams.
I agree with that, except I'm taking the Seahawks. They're at home. The 12th man, I think all of that's going to matter. The Rams are without Devontae Adams. I think that's going to be a big difference. He's their red zone guy, and he's no longer there. Eagles Commanders, I don't think we need to talk much about that.
Philly is starting to they've had 2 easy wins against 2 easy teams. So they've been able to right the ship in that respect. However, This is a Commanders team that sucks way beyond measure, unfortunately, because they've lost everything. They don't have any players, anything else. It's going to be an easy win by Philly. However, the Eagles still need to show me something before they play the Bills next week. So we'll see where that goes.
See, and for me, I think the Eagles need to show me something when they play the Bills. Playing bad teams and beating them up, that's what they're supposed to do. That doesn't mean that they've righted the ship. All that means is that they did what they were supposed to do, and the team that they played are so bad they don't need to be on the field, and they still beat them. So I think they have to actually show me something against the Bills.
Yep.
Another big game on Saturday. For me, the biggest game on Saturday and Sunday. Bears-Packers.
Bear down. I'm going bear down because this is at Soldier Field. The Packers have too many injuries now after last week, and not just because of the injuries, but honestly, the Bears are clicking right now. It's as simple as that.
100% agree. I think the Bears win. They win at home. They erase the feeling that they had from losing to the Packers, and they actually go on to win the division.
They go back to own the actual stadium instead of surrendering it to, that Rodgers guy.
Exactly. So Chargers, Cowboys. Cowboys at home. I'm not going to talk much about this. The Chargers are in a playoff race. The Cowboys.
It's a must win for the Chargers. Do the Cowboys show up and spoil this? I think it's a potential for it. I'm going to go Cowboys because even though they suck, the Chargers have been inconsistent to me. They show up for the games they're supposed to, like the rivalry games, but they've been inconsistent.
Agree with that, but I'm taking the Chargers.
Yep.
Need it more than Dallas needs it. Dallas is Dallas.
Funny thing is, Dallas is favored in that game by Vegas. Just a little push out there.
You hear that? I'm going Chargers. Giants at home against the Vikings. I got the Giants on that one. I'm not going to talk more about that. I want
to go G-Men. I don't like this number 9 character for the Vikings.
And he's doing it gritty in the end zone like he's somebody.
Seriously. I want to see DeMarcus Lawrence Dexter Lawrence destroy the man. That would be great. Great to watch.
It may happen. You never know.
Yep.
Bengals against the Dolphins in Miami.
I mean, this is the ultimate shit bowl. Is anybody watching? I'm gonna go Dolphins. I'm gonna say actually no. Sorry, hold on. Joe Burrow's still playing. I'll go Bengals. Sorry.
All right, and I went with the Bengals too. They don't even know who the quarterback is. Who's the quarterback for the Dolphins? Who's the backup?
Quinn Ewers, former Texas guy.
Oh, the guy from Texas who sucked.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. Quinn Ewers was just good enough to play ahead of Arch Manning, who sucked this year. So,
Buccaneers, Panthers, probably the second premier game of the week to me because of the whoever wins in the conference.
You know what's funny? It's been hard to play in Carolina this year. Carolina's been pulling some upsets down there, and you know what? I'm going to go with this one too. I'm going Panthers.
I had also picked the Panthers. I feel like the Buccaneers are on the way down, not on the way up.
Yep.
So I'm picking the Panthers.
And yet another game that the road dog is the one that's up. Tampa Bay's favored by 3 in that one, interestingly. Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely taking the Panthers now.
Yep.
Jets, Saints. I got the Saints because both teams suck.
I tell you what, we either have the peak of great games or the toilet of bad games here. It's just ridiculous. I'm going Tyler Shuck and the boys down in New Orleans.
I had to. They're at home. Jets suck. Enough said.
Yep.
Bills, Browns, another one of these games. If anything, it'll be a chance for Myles Garrett to break the record. Other than
does Myles Garrett get to Josh Allen? That's going to be the big question. But I think the Bills win this one, but I think it'll be an ugly game.
If I tell you what, Myles Garrett is one of the few people who by himself could take Josh down.
Yeah. Yes.
Chiefs, Titans, meaningless game. I'm actually taking the Titans because they're at home. Chiefs are playing with what's his name? Who won the Super Bowl?
Gardner Minshew shines when he's on that field. I tell you what, the long-haired trash man is the epitome of great.
That's right. Whatever happened to the guy from Philly who was our backup earlier this year?
He retired last year, I think. I forgot his name. But yeah, we have Gardner Minshew as our backup.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, I like his hair. That's about all I like about him.
Yeah, but dude puts up games when he's starting because he did that in Indianapolis last year or something like that. I forgot where it was, but
where it was. He's done some decent work, but he's not going to help them win against the Titans. Unfortunately, I think they're going to be.
I'm going to stick with the Chiefs in that one, but you're going Titans. Fair enough.
Yeah, just feel like they're on the downer. Broncos, Jaguars, another great game.
Huge game for Trevor Lawrence. Huge game for Trevor Lawrence. This is a playoff game at the end of the day. Because it's Mile High, we're going Broncos.
Me too. Same reason. I think that the Jags are much better than people think, but they're not going to beat the Broncos at home.
Right.
Falcons Cardinals.
Another trash game. Does Kyle Pitts show up? If he does,
I got the Falcons because I think that after seeing what they did last week, that they're going to play the rest of the season out, even though it's not going to mean anything.
I'll give you my pick. You like that? You like that? That's where I'm going.
You like that? Never really say that this year, can you?
Yeah, exactly. Jeez.
Steelers Lions. This could be a surprisingly interesting game.
Great game. I wish it was on a more of a premier slate in terms of timing, but yeah, this is gonna be a good game because it's in Detroit. I'm gonna lean toward the Lions. I think they're just gonna outscore the Steelers at the end of the day, but it's gonna be a high scoring game.
Yep, defense for Detroit has been putrid. Yep. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game or potential for that, but I got the Lions because they're at home and they're on turf.
Yep.
Patriots at Baltimore, critical game for Baltimore.
Actually, it's a must win for both teams because the Patriots got to hold serve at 2 seed right now behind Broncos, and frankly, the Ravens have to win because the Ravens have to win. Right. They've had a softie here and there for the Ravens with the Bengals game. They need time to recoup. I'm going to go Ravens at home to do the upset. I have a feeling the defense actually shows up because now they know they have to win this week and next week to be in the playoffs.
Yep. I'm actually taking the Patriots. I think they're going to rebound from being up 21-0 to Buffalo and losing that because they could have
Here's the magic question for you.
Yep.
Temperature is going to be about 24, 25 degrees. So cold weather game. Do the Ravens actually hand the ball off to Derrick Henry? Because I know the Patriots are going to give it to Ramondre and Henderson.
Well, that's been the problem. If the Ravens could, the offensive coordinator get his head out of his ass, they actually would be in this predicament. I don't know how many carries he has this year compared to last year, but I bet it's about 60% of the carries that he had last year.
Definitely less. There's no question.
That is the stupid part of this whole thing. We talked about offensive coordinators earlier.
Yep.
That's why they're in the predicament they're in. Stop leaning on Lamar to pass the ball and go back to the run pass.
Let him run.
Yeah.
Let Lamar cook.
That's where he's a threat, not standing in the pocket.
Damn right.
Last but not least, we got 49ers Colts. Can old man Rivers actually
Rivers, baby. But I'm going 49ers easily on this one. Christian McCaffrey has found the fountain of youth. He went to Germany, got some magic serum, and he's not getting injured.
You know what it was? All he needed was me not to pick him in fantasy. All of a sudden,
That's what it was.
I picked the first pick last year. He sucked and didn't even play. I got the 49ers as well. I applaud Rivers for coming back. But after this game, he might rethink the whole idea of being back because the Colts won't need him anymore because they're not going to make the playoffs.
You're putting the 49ers on turf. I mean, that's dangerous. Brock Purdy and the boys are hitting on cylinders right now.
I mean, there is a chance if Rivers can stop shot putting the ball, that the Colts can put up more points, potentially win this game, but I don't see that. I think 49ers are business. 49ers are going to be that third team. They may not even win their division, and they'll go about 12, 13 wins and make the playoffs.
Scary proposition for the Panthers and the Bucks, basically, on the road, if you think about it.
Very true. Imagine having that as your first wild card game to play against the 49ers.
Yep. Be a tough call. But no, it's gonna be a hell of a week. Like I said, you got great games and then you got shitty games. That's the way this week's gonna pan out for week 16, essentially, for the NFL. But I tell you what, gripping football tonight, gripping football Saturday. Some of the best games on TV by far and away. And I guarantee you, I'm going to call right now, there's more viewership for the NFL than there is college football on Saturday, despite the 4 playoff games.
Yeah, exactly. And
because there's only one playoff game I'm tuning into, if I do tune into it, it's the Oklahoma game, and that's it. Oklahoma, Alabama. That's it.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to watch that, but if I do, I sort of want Oklahoma to win just because Alabama's been that the elite university with Nick Saban and they get whatever they want. I'd love to see them lose.
Oklahoma on paper has the best defense in college football, and they're playing in Oklahoma, and they're shutting down school tomorrow. They're ready for that game. I'm glad to see the pride of college football again in that fashion, especially from a quote unquote Midwestern school like that, where people actually take pride and value in a team like that in a college culture. So that's I'm rooting for Oklahoma all the way in that regard.
We shall see what ends up happening. We got a great slate of sports coming up for this weekend. Christmas is just around the corner. Next Thursday, we'll have a show for you before Christmas to call out those games because they have some interesting games on Christmas that they thought were going to be relevant and may not now.
Yeah, and do you see how much money they're going to lose now because of it? Netflix and these boys, they paid $100 million. Now they're not projecting revenue to be more than 40 back. Think about that because of all the injuries.
Yeah, and the Chiefs being on Christmas and not having a game that's worth anything for them.
Yeah. The Broncos are about to spank them on national TV with nobody there, basically.
Well, I hope that everybody has a great week. I hope that you find ways to stay warm if you're in the Midwest or in some of the states that are experiencing unseasonably cold weather.
Yep.
Get ready for Christmas, y'all. And
yes, sir.
Spirit, not just in December, but for the whole year.
Yeah, make sure you're looking out for others, not yourself. You know, being the spirit of giving, as we always continue to be, hopefully throughout the year, but not just this time of year as well. But at the same time, like I said, be friends with your loved ones, be friends with your friends. This is a great time of year to just relish in the fact that you've got things around you and you got the ability to be free. Simple as that.
Yep. and hopefully, whichever team you're rooting for this weekend will win.
Yes, sir. We love sports. We love holidays. That's how it is. We'll see you guys next week.